everyone, it is Holly. I'm back with another video. I also have a microphone and I am unsure how I feel about it, so we will see how this video goes. Anyways, today I have a video where I just kind of want to talk about stuff. It's not really planned or anything, but this is something I have been thinking about. I think I did mention this in a video at some point, a conversation I had had with my sister-in-law about my nephew and about the fact that he does not remember what he reads. And it was a little bit of a tiff he got into with his cousin, who made fun of him because he doesn't remember. And my sister-in-law was asking about it because I am like the reader in the family. And I told her that like I also don't really remember what I read. I think I do remember more than him, and she thinks that this is just because I have more experience, and I think that's true. And I definitely don't think that you need to remember what you read to be a reader. And it's not like I forget everything like when like I don't have like that 51st dates like amnesia. Like I know what I'm reading, but for the most part, unless I put in a lot of effort, I'm not going to remember um definitely details about the books that I'm reading, but even high level overview. Like I barely remember characters like names or anything like that. And like even synopsis, a lot of times, unless it is a synopsis that I've heard numerous times, like somebody, like people, like it being a very popular book, so it gets talked about a lot or something like that, like I'm not going to retain all of that. I may remember like very basics or tropes, but if I remember anything about a book, it's going to just generally be how it made me feel. That's typically what I remember. And that is what I explained to her. Now, something I talked to her about, and I haven't really looked, maybe I should have researched this for this video, but I had told her was that I don't picture anything when I'm reading. Like, occasionally there's like amorphous, like blurry blobs in my head, but I don't picture anything. I know some people picture like a full fledged movie in their brain. But I'm not one of those people. I don't fan cast, I don't picture characters. I think I've talked about this before. Like, if you force me to like picture characters, pretty much every man is a brunette. And the only exception to that is Jace Wayland. He is the one who has like cemented himself as a blonde. But the rest doesn't matter how you're described, you're a brunette. Um, it doesn't matter. And like, I'm sorry, but I am not going to like picture those things. And I wouldn't say I particularly picture a lot in my brain at all. I know there is like differences to this. Like, I think the big thing is an apple, where it's like when you hear the term apple, like, and you try to picture that in your head, what do you picture? What are you doing? Can you just lay down a little bit? Maybe on my lamp? Um, and like I can like really force my brain to look at an apple, and but it's still going to be pretty amorphous. Like it's more like the outlines, and it's more my brain knowing that it should look a certain way than me actually picturing it. And some people like will see like a flat out apple. I will tell you, if you ask me to picture an apple, it's going to be a red delicious, which is funny because I hate a bumpy apple. Like I'll eat one if I have to, but I do not like a bumpy apple. But that's what I kind of pictured in my head. Um, and so I had told my sister-in-law that, and I said, I wonder if that is part of why I don't remember what I read. And she had asked my nephew, and he says he doesn't picture anything in his head either. And so that like validates that thought process. What further validates this is what I do have a very good memory of is media I watch. So TV shows, movies, YouTube videos are very ingrained in my brain. Like after one watching, like I will remember details, what people, things look like. I will remember like dialogue, that kind of stuff. And so sorry if you can like hear him purring aggressively. He's a very loud boy. Um, yes. You a happy boy. You a happy boy. So I think there is something about the visual nature of it and memory, at least for me, and probably for my nephew. we should ask him. And by we, I mean me, if I remember the next time I talk to him, if he remembers like movies and stuff better. The other exception to this is when I consume something multiple times. So, like I said, with like a synopsis for a story, I'm going to remember it better if I've been exposed to it numerous times, like through multiple videos, reading it multiple times, whatever. Same if I read a book multiple times. So there are books that like there are scenes, there's a scene in this one Sabrina Jeffries book that is like cemented in my brain. Well, I don't even know about it, but like it's like pretty detailed in my brain. But I have read that book numerous times, and I have specifically gone and read that scene more times because it just gives me joy. So like stuff like that like is more memorable to me because I have seen it multiple times. The Wallflower series by Lisa Kleypas, specifically Devil in Winter, is much stronger in my head. I'm still not going to be able to tell you like dialogue from it, but I can at least remember the character names. And one that's because it's a series, so the four. Well, I don't think Sebastian shows up in the first one. He might, but these characters are in the whole series, and I have also read each book at least twice. But I've read Devil in Winter probably like 5 times. So it just being like continuously shoved down my brain, it's easier for me to remember. It's kind of like if you're studying and or like I started crocheting and I crocheted a little bit as a kid, but like I really only ever single crocheted, and God bless my mother, she did the best she could, okay? Um so and I have just switched today or to double crochet, and what I have been doing is like I single crocheted like crazy, and I do feel really comfortable with that, and so I just double crocheted like a bunch, and I do feel pretty good, but I had to do it over and over and over again, and I will continue to do it over and over and over and over again to try to just like get it ingrained in my hands and my brain. And that is just repetition, and I do think that that helps with everybody, but I think there are some people who are more inclined to just remember these moments, and I am not one of those people. So I think it's interesting, and I kind of am curious. Like I see people, like people like post quotes and stuff and be like, oh my gosh, when he did this moment, like I remember the Pride and Prejudice like hand clenching scene. I remember that. But like I'm sure there are similar scenes with similar feeling in books I have read, but I couldn't tell you about them. I mean, I have seen Pride and Prejudice a lot, but like still, do you know what I mean? And I will say audiobooks don't seem to have an impact on this at all. Audiobooks are just like physical books in that I don't picture anything. It doesn't change being like entering my brain. I think the auditory pathway means nothing to me and to my brain, which actually makes sense because um there used to be an attraction in Disney World. It was called Drew Carey Sounds Dangerous. Um, and in that attraction, the lights would go out, and then there would be like audio cues and to like kind of startle you. And there was that. There was one at Animal Kingdom where you could go into this room and like listen to headphones, and it was like dark, and it would be like different like rainforests, like creatures and stuff. And then there was Extraterrestrial in Tomorrowland, which is where eventually became Stitch's Great Escape. Now it is nothing. Um, and Stitch's Great Escape did this a little bit too, but Extraterrestrial was much scarier. And I didn't do this attraction for the longest time because everybody said it was terrifying. And it's like this alien, and it gets like teleported into this room, and then it goes dark and it gets out. And it's one of those things where it's like breathing on you, like you have like a chest harness and stuff. And I finally did it, and I'm grateful I did it once. I think I was like 9 when I finally did it, and it did not scare me at all because the auditory thing, like my brain does not think that's real. There are people in my family who that terrifies, even though intellectually they know that is not real. Just hearing those sounds scares the crap out of them. But for me, no, my brain is just like, okay, well, it's not real, so whatever. Now, if you do like visual and like I will be scared by things. Like I'm not trying to act like I'm a baby, okay? But just the auditory thing doesn't impact me. So it does not surprise me that like audiobooks are not a different experience for me than physically reading would be. In fact, I feel like I picture less when I'm on an audiobook, but I think that's probably because typically if I'm listening to an audiobook, I'm doing something else at the same time versus when I'm reading, I'm just reading. I might have the like music playing in the background, but that's it. Whereas if I'm listening to an audiobook, I'm driving, I'm crocheting, I'm doing a puzzle, I'm running, I'm walking. So like another part of my brain is occupied in some way. But yes, so I just thought this was an interesting topic. Let me know what your experience is. Like, how do you picture things when you read? If you do picture, what do you picture? How detailed is it? Is it like a movie going through your head? And do you remember what you read? Also, do you care if you remember what you, are you one of those people that's just like, well, I read the book, moving on. Don't care. I think that's the other thing is like, for the most part, I don't like, I didn't struggle in school or anything with remembering things. I was a good student, but like I had to remember those things. Like I remember things at work all the time. I still remember, I used to work, I'll tell you, I used to work for Staples and in their call center for business to business sale. I don't know if it's still the item number for paper, for Staples branded paper, but I can tell you that that number is 135,848. It was like then, because I had to type that in so many times that I knew that number. I knew clients' account numbers by heart because like if I was just dealing with the same clients over and over and over again, and same now in the company I'm in now, like the business I'm in now, I remember certain clients' account numbers because I have to type them so many times or I talk to those clients so many times. And so like it's not like I don't remember things. And it's not like I don't remember things I'm not trying to remember. Like I'm not trying to remember that like number. I'm not trying to remember my clients' account numbers. That stuff does just get retained in my head. I will say I do feel like numbers for some reason my brain is like predisposed to remembering. But maybe it's just because like growing up you had to remember phone numbers, and so maybe my brain just got like used to learning like remembering being like numbers are important, focus on this. I don't know, I'm not a scientist in any way. So I took 2 science classes in college because I had to, because I went to a liberal arts college. It was psychology 101 and geology 101, and that was it. So but yes, so I think that is interesting. But yes, maybe part of it is like you don't need to remember this stuff. So if I am thinking about like, okay, I want to talk about this book, I will kind of like think about it and be like, kind of like ruminate almost on moments. And I think that does help at least temporarily for me remembering things for you. But I don't know. So yeah, the whole thing is very interesting. Let me know what your experiences are and everything. I would ask Oscar, but you know, when he gets the brain cell, he's not using it to read. He's got more important things to do. Huh. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.